Hey guys, Eric here to talk about the second teaser trailer for Iron Fist from New York Comic Con, and let's just jump right into it with the Iron Fist itself. We're going to be looking at some of the key images and moments here, but clearly this is the payoff, as it were. Some of these Netflix Marvel shows have had a slow burn, clearly, as far as Daredevil concerned, getting him into the full suit. We'll talk more about his costume, but as far as the Iron Fist itself is concerned, here it is in all its glowing glory. Pretty cool to see, especially since these Netflix Marvel shows, they do have superpowers in them, but nothing quite as overt as this. Super strength and super sort of senses don't stand out as much as a guy's hand glowing like this. So they're definitely going into sort of a bigger place here as far as superpowers, which is cool as we head towards the Defenders and them all teaming up. We never see Danny in his full costume here, but look not just at Finn Jones's nipples, but at Finn Jones having the tattoo, the famous Iron Fist tattoo. So we see that as well. He may never get the costume in this series, and I actually think he might not, especially since he still has a beard and they just wrapped production on the show, so he's never clean shaven like in the comics. But all the other trappings of Iron Fist, the glowing hand, the tattoo, are present here. And now let's go forward. We're going to talk a lot here about some of the stuff they showed at New York Comic Con because there was a lot more than just this teaser. There was other footage, including more about these two characters. This is Joy and Ward Meacham. Joy played by Jessica Stroup. Ward is played by Tom Pelphrey. I hope I'm saying his name right. They are sister and brother who were childhood friends of Danny Rand. Danny returns having vanished when he was 10 years old, and they're actually trying to block him from his claim to the company that their father and his father founded together. So clearly now there's some tension, though Joy seems more regretful about what's happening. The fact that this guy who was almost like their brother when they were little is now so separated from them. We are guessing it's very likely this right here is Harold Meacham, their father, played by David Wenham. There was the big scene they showed at New York Comic Con with him and Danny reunited, and he had also disappeared. So you might notice he has a wounded hand there on the left. Again, he's been off the grid, and who knows what he's been up to. So it's very possible he was even either involved in a fight himself or attacked, but he certainly seems to have some extracurricular activities that have put him into, if not a criminal element, a shady element. And the scene when we saw him confronting Danny, it looked like he had Danny drugged. He had him strapped to a hospital gurney, and Danny seemed very out of it and telling him more than he would otherwise. So safe to say that Harold Meacham has plenty going on besides legitimate business. And going forward to the next, we've got a look here. This is early in the teaser, but I'm actually going to connect it to some images that come later. These guys this is a big fight scene Danny has. These guys have these weapons strapped to their arms and then pull them off to fight him. This is what Jeff Loeb, head of Marvel TV, joked is the Iron Fist version of a hallway fight. All the Netflix Marvel shows seem to love the hallway fights, and this one begins with Joy being dragged away by these guys. Danny is in his apartment, hears her screaming, runs out to help, and a big fight breaks out. It really showed off. We saw this scene at New York Comic Con, how Iron Fist has really cool martial arts fighting, very different from Daredevil, who was much more brutal and blunt. Danny in this sequence is whirling around. There's a lot of shots overhead showing him fighting these guys, dodging that blade. One of the guys throws it at him, and he gets out of the way of it. So it looked very cool. We definitely get some glimpses here of Danny's origin, flashbacks to him as a kid when he goes missing. And he talks a lot in the scene I mentioned earlier with Harold Meacham about what happened to him and the fact that he was found in, I'm going to try to say this name, Kunlun. I believe that's how we say it, but who knows? Everyone has a different way to say it. How he's taken in. We see him as a kid here, taken in by these monks that find him. Very interesting thing he revealed in the clips in New York Comic Con is that these monks train him. He becomes the new immortal Iron Fist, the latest in a line. That's all from the comics, but he also says they trained him to destroy the hand. That is his final purpose, what he is made for. He is the only one who can stop the hand. So they're taking things from the comics, the idea of the Iron Fist, the idea of the hand that have already been introduced in the Netflix Marvel shows, and merging them together to make them sort of one important element. In the comics, the hand and Iron Fist really didn't have a connection like this. And then we also get a glimpse here in these little flashes of him in his own sort of monk outfit. Pretty notable, mostly because, like I said, he doesn't ever appear to put on the Iron Fist costume in this show. Certainly none of this footage. So the closest we might get to it is him here in his monk garb that we know he kind of adapts into his New York street gear superhero outfit later. And we presume, hopefully, in Defenders, he's wearing something like that. Here, this is a obviously notable appearance of Madame Gao, who was introduced in Daredevil. She, already had big sort of foreshadowing for Iron Fist. The fact that the drug she was selling had the symbol of Steel Serpent, a big Iron Fist enemy. So it makes a lot of sense that she's going to pop up here. She also had a line in Daredevil when they asked her where she was from, and she said considerably further than China, that a lot of people already thought might mean the Seven Cities of Heaven, which is the same area that Danny is found in. So a lot of speculation about her that we're finally going to hopefully get the payoff on here. Other people think she might be the Crane Mother, who is a big, powerful character in Iron Fist. Danny mentions Crane Mother in that same sequence where he's talking about what happened to him when the monks found him. So that certainly seems like a possibility, but we shall find out. And then last but not least, certainly, this is Colleen Wing, played by Jessica Henwick, who, after Game of Thrones and The Force Awakens, is jumping into yet another huge IGN-friendly property here with Marvel. They talked a lot about her at the New York Comic Con panel and how she's going to be a big standout. And Jessica Henwick said how she loved seeing images of this character in the comics dressed in her normal clothes with this sword strapped to her. So there's this great nod to that here with her walk on the streets. Colleen Wing was set up at the end of Luke Cage, of course, when Claire Temple took the little flyer for her to get training classes, self-defense training classes. And they showed another scene at New York Comic Con that was all about Colleen Wing. Here is a glimpse of it. It is a huge cage fighting scene. I know cage fighting scenes are definitely a familiar TV and movie trope, but this is Colleen Wing versus two huge guys in a cage. This is a great scene. This got the crowd at New York Comic Con cheering very loudly because we see just how fast and formidable Colleen is. She gives a guy a throat punch. She grabs a guy's arm in between her legs and snaps it and beats the hell out of these guys basically by dodging them and then getting the best of them. So yeah, this is a pretty nice overview here of Iron Fist while we still have plenty of questions about some more of the connective tissue, but this is still a teaser. There'll be another trailer, at least, maybe a couple more, as we get closer and closer, and Iron Fist premieres next year, guys, on March 17th. For plenty more on all things Marvel, Netflix, and Men with Iron Fists, keep it here at IGN.